It's about the launch.
Meeting is being live
It
streamed.
did. It popped up, live stream.
Okay, just give me a minute. I have to mute it so I'm not listening to it also. Okay, that's good. Two more people are waiting to come in.
Got 'em.
Okay. Anybody else coming in? Okay. All right. Good meeting, Hammond North. It's 6:04 on March 30th. First, let me do the roll call. Chris Conti,
Here.
Jan Welch.
Here, are we recording, John?
Yes.
We should be.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Tim Waltz. Tim Fritz, excuse me,
Here.
if that's the worst mistake I make tonight. Tracy Smiley,
Here.
Gil Patton.
Here.
All right. And Randy Vaughn is unavailable for the next couple of weeks for meetings. With that, we have a quorum and call the meeting to order. We have only one item that we announced for the special meeting that we want to discuss in executive session, but we also want to discuss openly with the owners, both the board and for owner questions, but the owner questions we hope, we trust will only be on the items that we're going to discuss. And basically received an email from Jordan last week, Jordan Dickman, and we got a follow-up email this weekend and another one today, basically detail a number of problem areas for ACM in terms of the bid. So I'd like to go over them. That basically is a question of the electrical system, transferring permits to them, full ceiling removal on floors 1 to 8, reduction of 15 units, the O5 units, replacement of, and reduction meaning they would be originally uninhabitable, replacement of the fire alarm system, the replacement of the flooring, and with additional cost that ACM calculates would cost them $17 million that they did not anticipate. So with that, I'll turn over to Tim Fritz to go over them one. Okay, Gil?
You said the flooring, it's the hallway flooring, right?
That's
Just
correct.
to be specific.
That's correct. Okay, with that, Tim Fritz, can you go over the items one by one? And what we'd like to do is we'll go over each item. Tim will present them. I may take one or two of them, and then we'll have questions from the board. There's not going to be chat, but there will be questions from the owners. But we would like to be clear that those are only questions on that single point. There's no other updates on the numerous questions we're floating around. Nothing has significantly changed from last Wednesday's meeting. So with that, Tim.
Okay. First item that they addressed is the electrical system and the generator replacement. This is one of the things that I'm a little disappointed about because they were given the scope of this project in the very beginning, and it was detailed by IBI and Hunt's electrical contractors what the scope of this item would be. So it's a generator must be replaced, full replacement of electrical service, new transformers will be required. So it's a large item, but it's required by IBI. I think that they believe somehow they would be able to work around this and be able to rehabilitate the equipment. And it's been clear from the very beginning that IBI and the city are not going to back off on this without the manufacturer coming in and certifying it as basically as good as new. And GE is the contractor on this equipment, and the unit, you know, it was built in 1962, and there's no way that GE will come in and certify it qualified as new. Second item they brought up is permitting.
Tim, if we could ask, a board have questions on that electrical item. If there are none, then yes, Jan.
I just have a comment. That when you said that you were a little, I forget what word you used, frustrated or something, but we have known about this, and that's why you're frustrated, and that was presented at the beginning of when we were giving them information and putting together the PSA, right?
Hunt gave me a summary of the equipment of what needed to be done based on what their discussions were with IBI. And they had that venture, actually, the first people who were potential sales candidates. They had it, I supplied it, and they had it back at that time. But again, I think they, for some reason, didn't realize the full impact of it and thought somehow they would be able to work around this. But IBI and the city have been steadfast in their interpretation of this since the very beginning.
Gil?
Remind me, do we have still the opportunity, or I'm not sure how to ask this question. There was conversation about contacting the manufacturer, which is General Electric, correct?
Yes.
And is it true we've determined that no one has actually contacted GE?
Yes, it was determined by Hunt and their electrical contractor, and they actually had a consultant that they consulted with about getting GE to come in and certify this equipment. And it was the unanimous consensus of everybody that there's no way that GE is going to come in and certify 65-year-old equipment.
And I believe, Tim, correct me if I'm wrong, that there was some mention that somewhere along the line, a subcontractor or subcontractor was under the opinion that it was tested, and that led to confusion, and that has been straightened out, that there was no communication with GE.
Yeah, there was that's the other thing that happened is ACM was led to believe that GE was contacted and came in, and that was not true. But that's what ACM heard, and that's what threw some confusion into this, because they thought that there was an inspection either discussed or scheduled, and it never happened. It just did never happen.
Tim, was the issue around, and was the issue of having them come in and test around the cost of getting the testing done, or just the assumption that there's no way they're going to certify this?
It was just determined that there was no way that GE could certify it as OEM equivalent when it's 65 years old and it's been through 2 fires and water damage.
Okay, so what we'd like to do is open up to owner questions, but please, you need to raise your electronic hand. I can see roughly 20 owners on my screen. I believe there are many more than that who are on the call. So if you raise your electronic hand, then that screen automatically pops up on mine and I can see it. Okay, if there are no questions, then move on to the second one.
All right. The next line that they had was permitting and timeline impacts. They believed that they would be able to assume some of the permits, and through my discussion with Jordan, and I have contacted the city again, it seems like the city has taken a little bit of a hardline turn in terms of how they're interpreting things. And they have now interpreted the fact that the permits will have to be filed new, and there's a 2026 fire code that has come into play that is going to create some issues also. So they assumed for some reason that they would be able to basically transfer these permits or inherit these permits, and the city has basically told them no. So that's now an item of discussion with ACM.
Any questions from the board on that item on the permits? I would just add that I had an email, this came up in discussion with Mike Stacy previously, the question of permits. I investigated that. I had communications with a city official, and I have an email back from November. The city official said that it's a simple form that gets filled out, and we can transfer ownership of the building at that point at closing, and that the new owner would then have the permits. Clearly, the city has changed their decision on that. Questions from the board? Any questions from owners? Tracy? Yes, you're muted. Jan, I think you have to unmute.
I'm trying.
There.
Sorry about that. I had to mute myself then anyway. So is it possible? I know the city's taken a stance on this, but could it potentially be possible to say, hey, could we be grandfathered in this as of, the end of 2025 due to our, ongoing purchase agreement with the particular buyers, and see if they can grandfather the permits over for this situation?
We have agreed that we need to try to have a discussion with the city. We're not exactly sure. Art Dahlberg basically told me he doesn't want to talk to anybody other than ACM right now. So somehow we need to convince him that we as owners of the building need to have some discussions with them in terms of what the actual status of the building is, so that we can document to anybody who might be interested in buying the building what the status of the building is. So we haven't had that. We've had a couple of email exchanges with the city, but we need to somehow, I think, sit down and talk to them about a number of things.
And let me know if we're able to get a hold of Art, or if I need to call down there and try to get a hold of someone, because I mean, right now, this ownership owns the building, and if we have questions about our permits, then they need to answer those questions. So just let me know, like, if there's a meeting or something that I can join, or walk across the street while I'm downtown.
Yeah, well, we talked about trying to have Chris Finney has a good relationship with those guys. We
Okay,
talked about
right.
appealing through Chris Finney to get us a meeting with the city.
Okay, perfect. Thanks, Tim.
Any other board questions? Okay, Jan, can you unmute David Rosenberg?
I just want to make sure I understood what was said at the beginning of the meeting. The buyer is saying they're expecting to spend more money now than they've actually bid on the entire building.
I think that's best of my knowledge, unexpected additional costs.
That's always been the case. I mean,
So they want us to pay them $6 million to have the building. No, I'm just kidding.
no.
But
Basically, what's happened is that the 11.75 million that they've offered has always been less than what we think it's going to take to fix the building up. They've had I don't know, 40 or $50 million set aside for this project. So they've known that it's going to be there's going to be substantial. What they're saying is these are things that we didn't anticipate when we put that original estimate together. When we tried to figure out what was going to cost to buy the building and fix up the building, these are some unanticipated costs that have come up.
does anybody think they're just trying to get the costs down and they're just playing a game with us? Nobody. Good. Yes.
I don't believe that's true. I think that there were just some bad assumptions made, and when they got into their due diligence, they got their eyes opened a little bit in terms of what the city was willing to work with them on and what they weren't willing to work with them on.
Okay.
I was just saying, part of it is, right, coming into the new year, statutes and things have changed, right? So there's things that are not acceptable now in 2026. However, I would argue the fact about the electric, because to Tim's point, Jordan had that information, and even when we were working on the first deal, And so it should not have been a surprise. I think that they may have been trying to work through how to figure that electrical piece out, but it's like now a hard stance, like, no, you have to absolutely get this done. So I think that was shocking to them. And yes, obviously they want to pay less money, but however, there's some situations where I think it's out of their control.
Any other owner questions? Okay, Tim, the next item.
Third item that they referenced is partial occupancy and ceiling requirements. Again, I think as they got into this, they found out that there wasn't a lot of give on the city's part in terms of some of the things that they thought they might be able to do in order to bring the building up to snuff. And again, they basically have had it reinterpreted to them that the city wants the ceilings taken down, and there's some costs in there that I guess they hadn't anticipated again. So this is another one. This is another one that I'm a little disappointed in, because this isn't anything that's really changed. It's something that we talked about. Everybody who ever came and saw the building, we told them this.
Let me just add to what Tim said, that as he mentioned, this is another item beyond cost that they're saying, indirect costs. They're saying that the timeline for reoccupancy of the building is longer, and the longer the reoccupancy is, it costs them money in terms of people, new owners buying, or whatever, however they're going to operate the new building. And that extension of time is a de facto additional cost to them. Any board questions on this one? Any owner questions on this one? Okay, Tim, next one.
Okay, the fourth item was a real smack in the face, and something brand new. What they're telling us now is that the building will be subject to the 2026, the new fire code regulations of 2026. And again, this is out of the city. This is out of the city office. This was I addressed this with Art Dahlberg when Jordan. This came up in the discussion between ACM and the city, and basically what they're saying is that without an alternative engineering design, all of the O5 units will not be inhabitable. They will not meet the new fire code. It has something to do with how far they are away from the elevator shafts and how wide the doorway is. So it's not an insurmountable problem. They will be able to bring the O5 units up to habitability, but they're estimating that the building changes that they have to do to this is about $2.5 million in order to bring the 1505 units back into habitability. And like I said, this is something that came out of nowhere. It apparently came up. I had to call Jordan and find out what was going on in this when he sent us this letter. And then that's when I contacted Art Dahlberg and asked him, is there some alternative? Because the way it was presented to us is you've got 15 units that are going to be uninhabitable. So I sent a note to Art Dahlberg asking him, is there an AED, an alternative engineering design, that can be implemented that would allow these units to become habitable again? And his response was, basically, I don't want to talk to you, I'll talk to ACM. So I went back to Jordan, and Jordan is the one who said this is what the issue is. The new fire code says that the elevators are too close to the O5 units and the doors don't meet the fire code compliance.
Any other board comments on this? Any owners? Okay, Tim, next item.
The other one is something it's sort of small potatoes. It's fire alarm system requires full replacement due to installation deficiencies. I don't know why this is, again, I don't know why this is an issue. There was a fire alarm design that met the codes and met the alternative engineering design that we had. So this is $600,000, but it's something that they're bringing up for some reason, and I don't know why, because we all knew going in that the fire alarm system would not meet the standards that the city fire department required. So this is just one other item that I don't know why they missed it. I don't know why they underestimated it. I don't know why it's coming up right now, really.
Any questions from the board? Any questions from owners? All right, Tim, can you go ahead to the next item?
The last item is another one that came up. The city, again, appears to have gotten a little bit more difficult to deal with. And they're saying that all of the flooring in the hallways has to be replaced as a result of a statement that they got from Auburn Environmental. So that was something that had not been realized, and that was something that we thought we had an agreement on with the city in terms of having to do that or not. So that's the last item. It's basically replacing all the carpet in all the hallways.
Jan and then Stacy, Tracy.
Well, that was really my question was, are they just talking about the carpeting, which was part of our original plan anyway, but.
Right.
Tracy.
Well, the carpet down to the, I want to say 07 is already pulled up. So it's not an issue for those floors. So, I mean, we're talking small potatoes here. That should be a moot point.
And if they, if they go through the same process that was done on the upper floor, you're going to ruin the carpet anyway when you tear it.
Right. I would scratch that off the list.
I'm not sure why this is an issue, and we probably ought to just tell them to drop it.
Right.
Any other comments on the flooring, hallway flooring from the board? From the owners? Mike, can we unmute Mike?
I keep clicking on it.
Mike, you should get a message that says,
Might have to unmute yourself, Mike.
there you go. No. There we go, Mike.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Yes, we can hear you.
It's my understanding that you took their offer because they were buying the building as is. I knew of all these conditions prior to and accepted them. What's that do for their purchase?
Well,
That's why we're having the meeting, Mike. We're digesting all of this right now.
Yeah, I was aware of the electric. I was aware of the carpet. I was aware of the generator. Anybody that's been in the building is aware of it.
Yeah. Well, that's part of my frustration that I discussed in the beginning is that I personally took a lot of people through the building, and other members on the board took them through the building, and none of this, I mean, this was discussed in every instance that I was aware of.
It seems to me they're trying to get the building for less.
You could have a point there, Mike.
I wouldn't accept it.
That's why we're having this meeting. Because that's how we feel.
Well,
We respect your view, Mike.
I don't think it's funny, but
Yeah, well.
It's unfortunate.
Mm-hmm.
Agreed.
Our
All right.
Dollenberg, I think, can be dealt with, but that's not my position.
I appreciate your viewpoint, Mike.
Thank you.
Okay, Bruce, can you mute Bruce? I think. Is that Bruce?
It doesn't look like Bruce, but I don't know. No, it's not him, he says. Somebody put
No,
my name in.
Mark Costello, unit owner 1408.
You may want to rename yourself then.
Why is that? Oh, I don't know. I don't know how I got named, however I'm named, but
Okay.
just making a comment. It seems like at this late stage of the game, it smells very much like they're moving the goalposts on us. I commend the board on all the hard work they've done in trying to get this done, and now here we are at 11th hour. And oh, gee, by the way, the city won't let us do all this stuff. It's I concur with the previous commenter that I don't know. I don't know what can be done about it because I'm no expert, but it just feels like it's underhanded and frankly, if it's not underhanded, it's incompetent that they didn't know what was going on here and well in advance based on all the disclosure that was given to them. So that's my comment.
Thank you,
Maybe
Mark.
there's another bidder out there who's a little more competent that can assess the situation. I don't know if it's awfully late to be talking about that, but I'll leave it at that.
Okay, can we mute John?
So this seems like just typical real estate. You get down to the inspections and then they're trying to negotiate price. I mean, that happens with regular real estate. So why should we be surprised and act like it shouldn't happen with this? However, I do have a question. When we signed the consent to sell, we signed it and saying that we wouldn't go less than 11 million. So let's see if they go less than 11, because you're right at the border. What does that mean? And I know you probably don't know an answer tonight, but that's probably something you want to take back to the attorneys just to see. Does that mean we have to get new consent? Can we move forward with claim deeds if we all consent? That's the things that I would like to know if this moves forward. Thank you.
We have
Good points, John.
had this discussion with them, John, and they understand that there's a floor of $11 million. So we have to see how things go going forward, I guess.
Any other questions from the owners? David, can we unmute David?
In a sale like this, is it customary to get earnest money from the buyer when you're this far along in the process? That if they back out, they're going to lose the money they had to put up in escrow?
There is, I believe, $100,000, which is exactly the amount that was listed in the contract, put in an escrow account. However, they get to have that money sent back to them at the end of any time before the end of due diligence. However, if it goes past the end of due diligence, then they do not get it back.
Right. Okay. That doesn't help much.
No. Any other owner questions?
I think, John, it was written in that way, wasn't it? Because they were concerned about getting the consent to sell.
It was a complicated contract.
Yeah.
There was a period of 15 days in which to get the forms in, and due diligence, as far as the owner is concerned, doesn't get triggered until they have all the forms. But in terms of David's question, that it isn't until the end of due diligence that then we would get to keep the money.
Right.
Any other owner questions? So that's what we know. We appreciate the questions for the owners, and we will still have the meeting on Wednesday night. Tim?
I guess the only thing I want to say is that, people are going to say what was accomplished tonight or whatever. And I guess all I want to say is that we're trying to let people know as quickly as possible as things are moving along or not moving along. And we're trying to be as transparent as we can with what we know and what we don't know. So we felt like this letter was a major point that we needed to discuss with people, even though we didn't have all the answers quite yet.
Jan?
I wanted to say something similar. It's very frustrating to be a board member right now and not be able to be more open about this kind of stuff. It's just that when there are so many complexities involved and a lot of moving parts, and they affect each other. And so you have to get something that's makes sense to discuss before you can do that. And we're constantly aware and reminding ourselves that, we need to tell the owners, we need to, and then it's like, well, what do we know? So that we're very aware of that.
Let me also add that I greatly appreciate the very direct, clear questions that a number of owners, all the owners who have asked questions have given us. It's a very difficult time for all of us, and being able to discuss this openly, I think, is very important. And thank you. With that, if there are no more questions, a motion to adjourn, and we'll go to executive session. Gil, motion to adjourn. And Tim seconded. All those in favor? Okay, the meeting is adjourned.
Did you get the recording? And
Yeah, the recording's done. We didn't have any chat.
okay,
Wanted to exec.
yeah. Let me open that now.